Well, good morning, folks. Bobo's back with you again. On December 18th, 1970, I had my first T-38 formation ride. I'd completed my contact check the week before, and 54 years ago today, I was strapped in as number 2 in a jet for my introduction to T-38 formation flying. I can still remember rolling down 1-4 left at Randolph on the wing, getting airborne, and it was a beautiful day. It was clear, crisp, not a cloud in the sky if I remember right, and we took off and turned right out of traffic and headed out west of San Antonio for our formation operating area. And I don't know why, but I have a memory of being number 2 and staring out the front windshield and looking at lead, about a half a mile ahead of us. I don't know what precipitated that, whether we took spacing or what, but I just remember seeing it and saying, this is so darn cool. And beyond that, I don't remember much about that particular ride, but I do remember just thinking how exciting this was going to be. As it turned out, it probably was. Flew a 1.5 with Captain Rick Vale, and then came back in and logged one landing, and that was my introduction to two-ship formation. After the 18th, we were dismissed for Christmas break. The wing virtually shut down, and most people had rides out of town and were going home for Christmas. My folks lived in San Antonio, so we just decided to spend the holidays there in Universal City, just outside the base of Randolph. But a very good friend of mine, John and Glenda, they decided to drive home to Massachusetts. And I think I might have told this story in an earlier video, but it bears repeating. So John and Glenda get in a car, and he had a Corsair at the time. He was mad keen on Corsairs. So they take off, late in the day, probably around noon or so, I don't remember. And I know they got a late start. And John was driving, and they got up to just north of Dallas on I-35. And he told Glenda, he said, listen, he said, I'm feeling kind of tired. He said, he said, why don't you drive for a while? When you get to I-40, you want to turn east and head out that way. So they swap seats, and he goes to sleep, and he's just sitting there just zonked out. Well, when he wakes up, now it's dark. And he kind of clears his head and he looks up and he sees a sign that says Amarillo 40 miles. Holy crap. And he looks at it and he looks around and pretty soon he figures it out. She turned the wrong way on I-40 and had gone to within 40 miles of Amarillo. Well, like I said, he figured it out pretty quick. So now, and John was one when he got pissed off, he steamed. You could literally see steam coming out of his ears. But he couldn't get mad at Glenda. I mean, John wasn't that kind of guy, but he was pissed. So anyway, they got turned around. It resulted in them getting to Massachusetts a little bit later than what they'd planned to. And when they got back to Randolph, to San Antonio in January of 71, he was still steaming for that. Amarillo, 40 miles. John, I hope you're not going anywhere this year. This is Bobo. Basic gear. Stop.